As if so, oh, it's working. All right. How's everybody doing? Oh, lively. Right after lunch, everybody's ready to take a nap. Yeah, I know how it goes. All right, this is me. I'm Jackson. I work on the partnerships team at Instagram based in San Francisco. And I am here today at VidCon for two reasons. One is to get more followers, so please, I'm at Jackson Williams. Thank you for those laughs. It's going to lead very nicely into my next thing, which is I'm here to work on some jokes. I'm an aspiring comic. I didn't get as many laughs. Good to know. So I'm probably going to get some eye rolls from my colleagues in the audience, but I'm going to tell a joke to start this off. Why did the chicken cross the road? To try and get verified. All right. I can work with this. All right. So no, I cannot verify you. That is the truth. But I am very happy to announce that as of, I believe, last week, all of you can request verification yourselves. If you send me an email about verification, I will delete it. I will not respond. So please don't do that. All right, so what are we going to talk about today? Oh yeah, we're going to talk about how Instagram has 1 billion users. That's pretty crazy, right? 400 million of them are using stories every single day. 200 million of them are using Explore every day. How many of you have seen this new shiny version of Explore?
Yeah.
One, okay. Oh, yeah. We can raise hands, we can cheer. I'm really feeding off of you guys here, so let me know how you want to participate, whether it's hand raises or hollering or heckling. Woo! I'm game for all of it. So we're going to talk about how we think Instagram can help creators like the ones you work with do kind of these 4 things on Instagram. Explore creativity, get closer to fans, grow audience, and build brand. And so we're going to kind of go through the full breadth of Instagram. We're going to talk about feed, stories, live, IGTV, all of that. So first, let's dive into some of the creative tools we've been focused on over the last 6 months or so. We kind of roll out these new features for stories, these new camera types every couple of months. How many of you guys are familiar with focus mode? Yeah, face filters. Yeah. I'm loving this. This is the most reaction I've ever gotten. So back in May, we announced kind of the stories platform, the face filter platform. And so you might have seen Liza Kashi's face filters from creators like Lauren, Baby Ariel, Jif Pong. And so this is really the starting point for us trying to unlock the creative potential of the stories camera. I think as we get towards the end of this year, hopefully we're going to be launching this as an open platform. So anybody who wants to develop their own custom face filter for the stories camera can. We launched music in stories. I'm sure most of you are probably familiar with this. And everyone, I'm sure, is familiar with the question sticker that took over your stories tray for 72 hours, and it was like the most miserable thing in the world because everybody was asking questions. You're like, I don't care about any of these answers. Why do you think people care about what you have to say? And then you just watch all of them anyway because that's what you do on Instagram. So let's talk about some basic hashtag Insta tips, because what's a tip without a hashtag? So first of all, go vertical in feed. If you just think about the amount of real estate that a post takes up, it's pretty self-explanatory. But just think about a 4x5 landscape, whether it's photo or video. The amount of real estate that's taking up in feed immediately becomes more eye-catching and more gripping. Hook them with sound. I really hope this doesn't breathe when it's done. No, of course it does. So over 60% of stories are listened to with sound on. So it's important to think about this. It's not just a visual storytelling platform, but there's audio there as well. But make sure you're adding visual context as well. I think that's super relevant here if you look at all the countries around Australia, all the different languages being spoken. Audio can't always deliver the message entirely. So think about using all the different creative tools within Instagram, the stickers, Giphy stickers, location tag, all these things to provide additional context for your audience who's watching these stories. So this is one thing I never do, but I'm going to do, and it's going to be prescriptive about stories. So from the Instagram account, which has 230 million followers, they've looked at all the stories they've ever posted. 5 to 8 stories in a narrative is kind of the sweet spot for getting your message across. I'll leave this one up here if you want to snap a picture. That's a good one. And then thinking about going live, I think this is an amazing example here from Beyond Brandon shows like you don't have to be doing something exciting for a live to be compelling. This is the easiest way to connect with your audience. I think the way I like to think about the Instagram fan funnel is how do you get people to become super fans? So if you think about someone's flipping through Explore every day, finding content from creators they're not already connected with. So that first impression is the very, very top of the funnel. And basically what you want to do is think about leveraging all of the different Instagram products, whether it's feed, stories, live, to bring them towards the bottom of that funnel where they become a super fan. So we think of live as the bottom of the funnel. So you get them to see your content in Explore, you get them to hit follow, you get them to watch your stories. As soon as you get them to tune into your live, they're a super fan. That's someone who will buy your merch, buy your tour tickets, support you however you want to be supported as a creator. So it's important to think about all of these different places in terms of how you're building that fan relationship. And then lastly, try IGTV. It'll make me happy.
It's great. It's great.
You want to come up here with me? He said it's great, and my heart melted. So this is an amazing example from Fuji Rock. So let's dive right into IGTV. Before I talk more, I'll play a little video here. All right, so that's IGTV. A lot of questions. Why? Why is it vertical? What the hell's going on here? So let's talk about it. So longer vertical video on Instagram. I'm sure you guys are at least aware of that part of it at this point. It's full screen, it's vertical, it's fully immersive. I think the first question I always get is why the hell is this vertical? It makes it so much harder for me. If you look at overall phone usage, 98% of the time spent on mobile phones is holding it like this. So just think about that. So it's a full screen, fully immersive, creator-first format. So when you think about how you discover content within IGTV, it's creator-driven. So you're not opening IGTV up and searching for hashtags, searching for themes the way you might when you go into Explore. It's all about the creator. So this is a creator channel, this is what you see. We present content to you in a few different ways. We default you into this view that has IGTV videos from the people you follow, as well as people you don't follow. And there's all those different kind of channels to tap into. But the idea is that we are building this community of content around creators, and that's the most important thing for us. It's super fast and easy from a navigational standpoint. You kind of have that lower third browse window that's always there. The ability to search for new creators while the content is playing. And the idea there is that we want video to be playing the second you open this up. IGTV for us is a very intentional surface. When you open it up, you're in the mood to watch some video content, so why should we put any barriers between you and video? It is just going to start playing immediately. And then it's conversation starting. I think the one thing that a lot of people haven't realized yet is comments, sharing, all of this functions the same way on IGTV as it does in the rest of Instagram. So comment, like, share these videos in direct. Grab links, text them to your friends. The same way you think about engaging with feed content, you can do the same thing in IGTV. And we think it's a really powerful way for kind of the communities around creators to become even stronger, both with the creator as well as themselves. And then obviously these are kind of like two of the big pillars we think about in terms of kind of unlocking creative expression with IGTV. There's obviously more time to play with. 15 seconds is the minimum. You can go up to an hour. So you're no longer limited to the 60 seconds in feed or the 15 seconds in stories. And then we think there's more creative freedom here. I think I'll show some examples later on too that talk about this, but people have been producing for the 16:9 format as though it's been a standard for 100 years. The reality is it's relatively new. And so we think there's a lot of potential here for people to really start to think about how they produce video for this vertical format. We also think it's an opportunity for you to get closer to fans. It is the most, I think this Baby Ariel example, it's like she's talking straight to you. If you think about the ways you connect with creators and the power of video as a storytelling format, there's something that's special about the vertical format in terms of how it connects you with the content, the creator that you're watching. It's going to help you grow your audience. So this is kind of like the basic insights that we're providing right now: views, likes, comments, an audience retention curve. So you see these on every video you post, and pretty soon we'll start to roll this into kind of the account level insights as well. And then we want to give you opportunities to build your brand. I think the number 2 question I always get is, why can't I have links in my captions on feed? Because you can't. But we're going to give that to you here. So we think there's a lot of power in the ability for these videos to kind of really drive business for you. As a creator, we want you to have the freedom to link out to wherever you want. Knowing that we have to be focused on driving value for you as a creator for this surface. And then everybody knows where this lives. You've probably all seen that banner. You probably the first day were like, what the hell is this? Why is this here? This is where it lives. On profile, I think you're probably going to start to see some things over the next few months in terms of tests we're running and how we're thinking about presenting this content kind of in that home experience. There's some amazing content that's being produced for IGTV, and we want to make sure it's getting in front of as many eyeballs as possible. So some of you might already be seeing some of these tests, but expect to see more from us in the coming months there. All right, how many of you have uploaded an IGTV video? We can woot again. I know it's been like a, yeah, okay. I think more people wooted than have uploaded, but that's fine. So this is the upload experience on mobile. It's super simple, super seamless. Yeah, I've got snapping some pictures here. Cool. How many of you knew that you can also upload to IGTV from Instagram.com? One woot and one hand. Cool. So if you want to post a video to IGTV of any length, you can go to Instagram.com and upload your video there. If you want to upload a video that's longer than 10 minutes, you have to go to Instagram.com to do that. And obviously all these videos are super easily cross-postable to Facebook. If you're connected to a Facebook page, you'll see it pop up right there. You tap a little switch and it goes straight into Facebook. So I'm going to get in the weeds a little bit here for some technical details. So this is kind of like the ideal specs for your cover photo. So every video can have a custom thumbnail. And these are the very detailed specs of kind of what that size is. These are the kind of the safe spaces. So if you think about the overlays you see between titles, the browse window, this is kind of the area where you don't want to include subtitles, captions, anything like that. And then how many of you knew you could link to your IGTV videos from stories? My man up here knows everything. He's going to give his presentation next year, and I'm fine with that. We'll have to work on his jokes. So everybody, whether or not you have access to links and stories, as soon as you start an IGTV channel, you will have this ability. You will see the link icon show up, and when you tap on it, you'll see that center window that will have all of your IGTV videos to link to, and then it's a super seamless experience. You'll see the watch video with the IGTV icon in the bottom right there once you've done this. And in terms of how we're thinking about kind of the IGTV experience holistically, it's important to think about how you, as a creator on Instagram, can drive your audience to this content. We're obviously experimenting with things in terms of how we're presenting this in feed, but this is a really powerful tool. I think most people who have had experience with links and stories know what a powerful tool it can be for driving business, for driving traffic anywhere. So really think about this. If you're spending the time, spending the energy producing great IGTV content, make sure you're using your stories to drive your audience there. And then this is our theory on why your fans are going to love it. This is kind of recapping kind of what I've been talking about here. We think it's going to deepen the connections with the creator, strengthen relationships between the communities that exist around you as a creator on Instagram. And then we think there's going to be a tremendous amount of value in the fully immersive vertical experience. All right, so it's early days, I think. Let's see, is it September already? God, that's scary. So we launched this like just two months and like 2 weeks ago. So it's still super early days for us. But I wanted to show some of my favorite examples here. and talk about kind of what we see working. How many of you saw this? One, you just raised your hand the whole time.
I'm being serious.
He's being serious. So IGTV is a surface for experimentation, right? I think when you think about the holistic Instagram experience, I think there's a certain amount of, this is the other half hour of my presentation, by the way, I'm just gonna let this play. There's a certain amount of pressure, I think, that creators put on themselves when thinking about the feed experience. Obviously less with stories, it's actually an hour long. But IGTV is a surface for experimentation. If you had 12 ideas, all right, I gotta go to the next one. You guys are distracted. I'm trying to tell you really smart things, and you're just like wanting to watch Cole Sprouse eat hamburgers. I'll take that. I'm removing that slide. But this is the place to try new things. If you are a creator and you're like, all right, I have 5 ideas for stuff that I want to produce for IGTV, but I don't know which one to do first. Do all of them. Your audience is going to tell you it works. Spend time in the comments. Engage with your audience. Ask them. Use the question sticker. Hey, what do you want me to produce for IGTV? You're not going to be harmed by producing a video that flops. There's no, it's not scary. Have fun. Try new things. Some of it's going to work. Some of it's not going to work. But there's no tremendous amount of pressure here to always be succeeding. So yeah, that was Lele Pons. She started a cooking show, obviously, because that's what you do. And then this is an amazing example. Like, think about all the different ways to leverage this surface. So you can think about the constraints of stories. What this might usually be is a 15-second clip of a performance. But all of a sudden, prop the phone up on the keyboard or the piano, and all of a sudden you have this ability to unlock this longer storytelling that can be more expressive, that can show off your talents in a deeper way. Think about using it for announcements. This is how MTV announced a bunch of the nominations for this year's VMAs, with a bunch of amazing creators like Tessa Brooks and a bunch of others that are in here. But they did this on IGTV. Again, this is a place where you can be super casual and do a behind the scenes or low-key performance like the previous one, or you can do it to announce the nominees for the VMAs. That is a surface for everything. And then you can use it for big moments. This is a whole ton of content that the French national team did around the World Cup. Yeah, it's a lot of videos. So it's good for big moments, it's good for collaborations. This is Lisa and Lena, when they came out to VidCon for Anaheim, we had Alex Hayes join. And so IGTV is a place for collaboration. Think about, all right, if I've really been wanting to do this content idea with like a creator and like, we wanted to do a photo shoot, but like we couldn't get the outfits right, but we want to collaborate. Think about producing video for IGTV. This is a place, again, to like have fun, not stress. This is an easy thing to do. It's all about unlocking or re-unlocking some of that creativity. And then this can be a place for music videos. I think the takeaway here across the board, IGTV is a place for everything. Music videos, behind the scenes, this amazing clip from the AFL. Again, like some of this, and there's another example I'll show you later with the artist Stormzy, some of this is really an extension of kind of the stories experience with just a little bit of added production on top. But take your audience behind the scenes, show them what your life is like in these big moments, in these special moments. It's all good. And then raw footage. If you have a longer clip just sitting on your camera roll, upload it to IGTV, see what happens. Eminem did it, you can too.
Quoted 2018.
All right, so here's a few more ideas to think about how to spark creativity. So this is the example I was talking about before with Stormzy. So we worked with him on this, and so basically he just produced a bunch of stories clips that we worked to edit together into an IGTV video. So this is taking a first person super authentic content that you're used to seeing in stories, adding an additional layer of production on top of it, and all of a sudden you have this amazing, compelling IGTV video. And think real. This is a place to be honest with your audience and to, again, like, connect with them in a way that might not be as easy to do in different places within Instagram.
Lady Gaga's ours, not yours. We get to be part of history with so many countries passing gay marriage. I just need to find myself a man first. And when we do finally meet the man of our dreams, we get to double our wardrobe. You don't get that. Seriously, Jake, you can't even get a boy to buy you a coffee. Why are you talking about boyfriends?
And then think vertical. I think so many people just think about the 9x16 vertical format as a rotation of 16 by 9. But the reality is this can be a much more expressive way to tell stories. So this is an incredible example from F1 where they basically stacked horizontal videos on top of each other. iJustine is also doing an amazing job of this, of showing two different perspectives at the same time. So in some of her vlogs, she'll have one camera facing out, one camera facing her, and she edits these on top of each other. So the vertical format doesn't just mean rotating the camera, it is an entirely new canvas for how to think about video production. And this is an example from like a month into IGTV, and the thing I'm most excited about is kind of seeing the next level of creative energy and excitement that gets built around this as people really start to think about unlocking the potential of the format. All right, so that's IGTV, but what I also want to do before I open up to Q&A is run through what usually are like the first 5 questions I get anyway. All right, number 1, how does feed ranking work? How many of you wish chronological feed would come back? Oh, it's never coming back. So let's talk about how it works and why we did this. So one thing I'll say first, so we have 1 billion people on Instagram every month now. When we launched the ranked feed, which was just over 2.5 years ago, there were half as many people on Instagram. So half the people on Instagram have never had a chronological experience. And it's amazing for them, and can be amazing for you too. So this is our goal. We want you to make sure that your fans see the posts they care about most and help connect you with your followers regardless of when you share. So if you live here in Australia, but for some reason you have a huge audience in Italy, you don't have to think about exactly what time zone you're in and what time it is when you're posting. Our goal with feed ranking is to make sure that the content that you're posting gets in front of as much of your audience as possible. And so this is kind of how we think about this. We think about the 3 main signals here as interest, timeliness, and relationship. And so these are ultimately pretty self-explanatory, and we think they lead to improved visibility, reach, and engagement. So when you think about like, okay, well, how does my feed ranking work? Every single thing you do on Instagram drives this. So if you have an ex-boyfriend who you haven't unfollowed or blocked because you're polite and you respect the social dynamics of Instagram, but you don't comment, you never like. You're like, why is my ex-boyfriend always at the top of my feed when he posts? It's probably because you spend an hour every day stalking his profile. It's like, all right, what's he doing now? And you share his posts with your friends, like, can you believe this clown? That you are giving us a signal that you really want to see that content, regardless of whether or not you're liking it and commenting on it. So all of these things are signals that we think about. And then we also think there's tremendous value for creators. We basically have the ability, with much smarter people than I am doing a bunch of things with numbers that I don't fully understand, we have the ability to say, okay, if Instagram right now had a chronological feed, what would that look like? And basically across the board, every creator would have 50% less impressions. So, it might feel painful for you sometimes. You might be like, why is my best friend buried like all the way at the bottom? Put your creator hat on for a second. It is objectively better for you as a creator. It's better for your business. It's better for growth. It's better for engagement. It is just better for you. 50% more followers reach. That's the real number. All right, some more common questions. Do you hide posts in feed? No. Am I being shadow banned? No. Do you reduce visibility for branded content posts? No. Does the type of account you have impact ranking? No. These are my favorite common questions because they're easy. And then why do I see older posts in my Instagram feed? I think when we get back to thinking about why we have the ranked feed, I think the philosophy we have is we would always prefer to show you a post from 1 minute ago versus 2 days ago. But just because a post is a little bit older doesn't make it inherently worse. So if you haven't checked Instagram for a couple days, we want you to be able to see this really valuable content that you just might have missed because you didn't check the app. And it's important to remember that every feed is unique. You could set up 2 dummy accounts, follow the same 50 creators, like the same posts, share the same posts, and I guarantee you the feed experience would be different when you open them up. Posts would be ranked differently. There are so many signals going into it that you probably never even think of that are really important to how we think about ranking feed. There are 1 billion users on Instagram. There are 1 billion versions of feed. My favorite common question, how can I keep my account safe? How many of you use 2-factor authentication? All right, whoop, I appreciate it. A year from now, I want to see every hand up. So, historically, this has only worked via SMS, but this week we announced, at long last, we are rolling this out to Google Authenticator and Duo Mobile as well. So hopefully by the end of September, you will be able to do two-factor not just with SMS, but with these other providers as well. It is the single most important thing you can do to keep your account safe. And then also use the common moderation tools. We want Instagram to be the safest place for you as a creator, for you as a fan in the world. And we want to give you as a creator the control to kind of dictate the type of conversations that are happening around your content. So use the moderation tools. There's a default inappropriate comment filter that looks at bullying, looks at harassment, looks at profanity, and removes that. But then there's also this really powerful custom keyword tool that enables you to decide, okay, if someone's harassing me because of this one specific thing that happened, add that word in, add that phrase in, and they won't be able to kind of drive that conversation around your content anymore. And then obviously you have the ability to turn off commenting on a post-by-post basis as well. All right, that's my spiel, and so now it's your turn to ask me questions, and I promise you, for the most part, I will give you answers better than just no. So I think we got a mic floating around somewhere.
Hello. Yeah, Pamela's gonna come around with the mic, so if you can wait 1 second to ask your question.
What do you think video production, like the back end, will look like? People filming on their phones. It's obviously a little bit different to the traditional methods of using editing systems and computers.
So I think we've kind of seen both. I think that there is an entire generation of creators who have grown up on platforms that haven't been about longer form video, whether it's musically or they've grown up on stories, where the idea of a full production to produce video isn't really natural. And so this is really an extension of the whole process for them. So they're amazing creative tools, both in terms of like camera apps you can download to produce entirely on your phone, and editing apps like Video Leap, where you can have kind of your entire production workflow be on your phone. And so we think there's like a really powerful thing there for kind of unlocking the really younger generation of creators who haven't really thought about taking like the leap into video production. And then the other thing is like people who've been producing video for a while and have sophisticated workflows, those basically can all support vertical video anyway. There's a bit of a shift that has to happen, in terms of how you think about producing and capturing for that. But Premiere, Final Cut, they all support 9:16 editing. And so it's really just about kind of reframing how you think about your workflows. But what we've kind of seen across the board is there's everything. There's people who are producing on their phone, there's people who are just uploading their longer videos that they have in their camera roll, and there's people who are like, all right, I have 4 DSLRs, I'm doing a full shoot, we're lighting this, I'm gonna hire an editor, it's gonna take like 17 weeks, it's gonna be a pain in the ass. But it's all different types of that.
If average watch time on Facebook is around 20 seconds for video, how are you seeing that compared to Instagram TV? Are you seeing better rates of engagement?
I actually don't really know what the average watch time is like right now. I think if I did, I probably wouldn't be able to tell you anyway. But I think kind of our focus is kind of further up versus kind of micro-focusing on average watch time right now. It's really about like unlocking creative expression, trying to drive production for the surface and making sure the videos are getting in front of the right eyeballs. And then we'll focus on how we kind of ensure that people are spending the appropriate amount of time with the content. 2 questions, really? Not feeling, yeah, all right, here we go. Tips for Instagram Live, yes. I would say there's a couple things to think about. One, use all the different parts of Instagram to drive your audience. So think about using stories to tell your audience, hey, I'm gonna be going live in 3 hours. If live is something you're super passionate about, think about building a schedule around it. Maybe Fridays at 4 p.m. is your time, and all of a sudden you can kind of build this behavior in with your audience so that they know when to expect this from you, and hopefully that kind of drives the experience weekly. And then I think co-broadcasting live, so bringing people in, is one of the most powerful tools that exists on Instagram, period. If you think about all the different ways that Instagram sends out push notifications, the only way to get a push notification sent out to someone who doesn't follow you is to bring somebody else into your broadcast. The same way we tell your most engaged audience, like, hey, this person's live on Instagram. If you bring a creator in with you or a friend in with you, we will send a notification out to their most engaged users saying, hey, this person is live with the creator. So there's tremendous value in terms of driving discovery, driving growth. So I think if you kind of think about Instagram Live in those few ways, it's kind of the best way to think about it.
Is there an integration for Instagram Live to Instagram TV?
Not right now. I think that's a common question. It's something we're still trying to wrap our heads around. I think the beauty of Instagram Live versus other platforms is that there's no API to tap into. There's no like multicam publishing suite for it. It is entirely a mobile first, mobile only experience. And so we're trying to figure out how that kind of sits next to aspirationally what we want IGTV to be, which is theoretically a more produced surface, a place where there's intention that's gone into the production, so that when a fan goes to intentionally watch a video, there's like kind of an equal value exchange there. I think we might get into a world where like there's a live section for IGTV, but I don't think we have anything planned for that right now.
Is there a way to export from Instagram Stories to IGTV? And does IGTV expire, or is it always up there like a YouTube?
Yeah, good question. So IGTV is permanent media until you decide to delete. So it's not ephemeral, it doesn't have an expiration date. When you upload, it's good until you decide to delete it. In terms of like the stories to IGTV integration, there's nothing direct. However, if you have a story that's live that you're really proud of, and you go to one of those clips and swipe up, there's a little icon on the top right that will let you download a video that is just essentially one full video of the story you have live, and just save it to your camera roll. And then you can just upload it straight from your camera roll that way. So that's kind of the best connection point we have right now between stories and IGTV.
There you going. I was just wondering, with obviously you've got stories at the moment, you've got your standard feed, you're talking about IGTV. I mean, I don't know whether this might just need to be a purely personal opinion of yours, but where do you see kind of Instagram heading in the next 12 months? Are we going to see more mediums? Is there going to be more opportunities to have different channels? Are we going to see things merge and reduce the amount of different mediums you can use, like will stories merge with IGTV, for example?
Yeah, that's a really good question. So I think when you think about like the surfaces within Instagram, there's essentially feed, stories, live, and IGTV. And I imagine those are going to remain the four for a while. I think you'll probably start to see more connection points between the two, whether it's something like a more in-depth stories to IGTV integration. But I imagine like these four are going to be like the core Instagram experience. And then we'll think about how to build on top of each of those pillars with new feature sets, whether it's like carousel for feed, so the ability to add 10 posts, or like new stories features that we're launching. I think you'll see iteration on kind of those four pillars, but probably not an introduction of something else to be thinking about. Yeah.
Hi. If you're posting content on IGTV and you don't have that much, I'll read this. Say you don't have that many followers on Instagram, you're trying to grow a brand, and you want to post content on IGTV, how do you get people to find it if you don't put it, like it doesn't have the same explore feature as normal Instagram posts?
Yeah, totally. So it does have a bit of explore in there. So if you think about kind of the default view we put people into, it's actually a hybrid of connected and unconnected content. So that For You kind of channel that you're immediately launched into has videos from people you follow as well as people who don't follow you. I think that there's going to be a lot of value there. I think if you think about how to, you can grab links to all these videos and drive them outside of Instagram. So if you think about if you're building a brand and you have all these other marketing drivers that you can leverage, you can do that. And then I think you'll probably start to see us kind of play with how this content lives within Explore, so that we can really think about how to maximize kind of discoverability for this content. Come on, there's got to be one more. No, maybe not. Oh, okay.
Do scheduling apps impact on reach, and is there going to be any kind of scheduling features introduced to Instagram?
Good question. So no, probably not going to introduce a scheduling feature. I thought most of the scheduling apps had actually been shut down, so I'm surprised there's actually some that are still working, based on kind of the overall platform changes that we rolled out earlier this year. They don't affect your reach, but I'm actually just surprised that you still have them on. Thank you, Bree. I thought maybe one more? Yeah.
Hi, what tips do you have for government and high-level organisations that might not have this kind of level of intimacy with their followers, but still want to engage with younger people on Instagram?
What a fantastic question. So I would think about the idea that you can't build that level of intimacy might not be true. I think if you kind of look at overall at what's working on IGTV and kind of in Instagram in general, there's a lot of kind of personality and voice that comes through, regardless of kind of what surface you're living in. And so I think there's probably a way to kind of make government content feel more expressive and more personal. But again, I would also say, like, try a bunch of different things, and you'll probably learn pretty quickly, like, all right, these 7 don't work, but we found one that does work, and then we can really lean into that. And obviously that like takes time and effort and resources, but I think this is really kind of a new place to experiment and understand, okay, like the audience we do have, this is what they're gravitating towards, understanding that unlocking that probably will eventually lead to kind of increased growth. But that's a really good question that I want to spend some more time thinking about too. One more on this side. Oh man, she's having to go back for it, and she's getting a workout in.
Hey, so most of the tips have kind of been for more the IGTV. Did you have any tips for people's actual main feed? Just increasing the reach and engagement and everything there. Sometimes, there's lots of theories about lots of comments, engagement in like a first certain period of time. However, sometimes, that happens and it will actually do like a lot worse than say something that had like one comment and then it gets like a way bigger reach.
Yeah, so basically everything you've probably read online about how feed works is wrong. And so there's no like silver bullet or science, like, all right, if I get like these 10 verified accounts to like and comment on it in the first 10 minutes, like it's gonna go bonkers on Explore. Like none of that is really true. So the way I kind of think about feed, and this kind of works across the board, so there's no like special sauce that's like instantly gonna make your content perform better. But the metaphor I like to use is that you're putting grains of sand on the scale every time you do anything on Instagram, with the idea that in the long run, it's hopefully gonna tip the balance in your favor. So engage with the audience that's commenting, reply to DMs, use location tags, use hashtags. All of these little things that might seem mundane. It's like, all right, do I really want to go through and search exactly like what cities? Like I'm searching for Melbourne, there's like 25 things that show up, like how do I know which one to pick? Spend the time to do it, because it's gonna be like one more grain of sand on that scale to hopefully tip things in your favor. Using a hashtag isn't going to all of a sudden make your content explode, but not using a hashtag means you're probably missing out on some sort of new discoverability there. So my tips are really think about the number one tip is think about every aspect of what goes into kind of posting, especially from a creator perspective, and think about, okay, I'm gonna spend an hour after I post just engaging with the people who are commenting first, to make them feel like they're heard, make them feel like they're a part of my account. I think that does a couple things. One is it starts to really strengthen the relationship that you have with your audience. And two, like just that increased engagement in general around your content is gonna hopefully help it perform better.
Do you think then it's more important to create content for the technology or for the people?
Oh, interesting. I would say for the people. Ultimately, I think that's why most of you are here. In general, is why most creators use any of these platforms is for the people.
But obviously, you have to think about algorithms, etc., when you create content, which is what you're just saying. So
yeah, but I think my tips there are to not think about the technology, but think about how to actually build the relationships with the people who follow you, and that will solve the technological problems, right? You shouldn't have to think about, okay, well, I've heard that 25-second videos and feed perform better. Like, no, if you want to post a 12-second video or a 45-second video, let the content dictate how you were thinking about producing content. I mean, that's the same for photos, for video, for any of it, but really think about the fans that you are building and those relationships that you're building and focus on the people, and then hopefully let the technology do all the right things to make up for the rest. Maybe one more? Or 0 more? I'm fine either way. One in the back corner.
Is there going to be a way to push an audience to Instagram TV directly?
What do you mean exactly?
Like, say, I've got a piece of content that I want to be exclusive for Instagram TV. I've got a big audience on Facebook and YouTube. How can I push them directly to Instagram TV as opposed to, having to go to my channel and then find it and then sort of the web browser, you know what I mean?
Yeah, totally. So every time you're on a video in IGTV, there's like those 3 little dots. If you tap on that, you can grab a link. That's literally just a permalink. So the same way you can with feed, it'll be like instagram.com/TV/ whatever the video ID is, and then you can share that anywhere, whether it's other social platforms, email, text, anything like that. Cool. Thank you guys so much for coming out, for the thoughtful questions. I really appreciate it.